Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3, and to our farthest right, per usual, is none other than the Rex I Heart ShadyNero. Right there, baby. Things you love to see. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about today, obviously. This is a little bit later in the week edition of the Best of 3 pod. We had some things come up earlier in the week, but we are rocking and rolling now. And there'll probably be a few weeks here just because of the holiday season where it might be a day or two off. But it'll still be rolling. Don't worry. Yeah. But it'll just be maybe a little bit different schedule than normal just because of the holiday season. But like I said, a lot to talk about today, obviously. We're doing the most underrated players heading into the Call of Duty Cold War season. We've done this basically every single year heading into the year, and it's really cool to kind of look back on and see which guys were on the previous episodes who we talked about in the past. And this is a fun one. I think there's going to be some good conversation this week. And of course, a lot of news to talk about. And of course, the 12th team is officially in the books. So we have a lot to get into before we get into that, guys. I got to ask, boys, what is going on?
Well, Josh, I am feeling electric today. I'm like a Pikachu running around Pallet Town. And I'm like, zap, zap. There's my friend Ash. And he's like, that's him right there. That's my buddy Hydra sipping on his Coke. And I'm just zapping around, living life and living large.
Yeah, dude. Sam, how you doing, first of all?
I'm doing good. But I'm much more curious about Rex's experience. So
I mean, that's fair. So obviously, from the picture, you were at the little New York event this weekend.
Yes.
Biggest question is, did you get to see Aiden twerk?
I did. See him twerk.
Jealous.
I know. It was quite the moment for the whole crowd.
that's like worth it. That's worth the price all right there, you know?
I think so.
I mean, honestly, forget the pros. Just give me Aiden twerking any day of the week.
Yeah. My goodness. He's bringing all the girls to the yard.
Oh, for sure.
100%. But no, it was super, super cool. Got to meet the whole team, got pictures with everybody. And Hydra has 100% has the most swagger out of everyone on that team. Let me tell you, I wasn't expecting like this. Like when we got like this picture with him, it was so just like, oh, and the picture's like, yeah. And he's like, someone's over there, like some, assistant or whatever is like over there handing him a Coke. And I was like, oh, like, oh yeah, you can take the picture with that, like whatever. And I'm like nervous. So I handed the camera to my wife. Okay, like take a picture of it. So I go stand next to him, just no hesitation, just like arm fully just like around my shoulder, and he just starts going down to sip on through his straw. And I'm sitting here thinking we're taking a picture, and then I look over and he's just like sipping on his straw. I'm like, wait till he looks at the camera, give him a second. And meanwhile, my wife just like snap, like 100 pictures, and then we got that. One of my favorite photos of all time captured.
High quality. But you didn't get to see Gersh, dude.
Unreal. Don't even get me started.
Unreal.
We tried,
we were talking with him on Twitter.
I'm like, here's the thing too with Gersh is like, because like we were somewhat talking like before going, like, yeah, we're like meet up and stuff. Right. But like, he's kind of like with the Subliners, kind of like working the event and all that. So
he got lost. He got lost in the crowd, huh?
Yeah, but it was fine because I was also like busy going around doing my thing.
Right.
But maybe next time we'll meet up. But we were in the same room together for a while. They even had like this thing where they had like a Mario Party sort of like competition. That's the thing that made like Aiden's work.
Yeah.
He I think he lost or somebody lost and he did it. But there's like him and Swish'em, like the two Subliners content creators. There's just two people out of the crowd. And I was like this close to like, okay, maybe I'm going to like try and like get in there and do it. But I was like, I'm like too all over the place right now. And I was like, whatever. So I kind of just like stayed back and they did their thing, but it was enjoyable. Subliners put on good events, I think.
Cool. I mean, that was the thing. There's so many ways that the type of event can like flop. So that's cool that it actually like ended up working out.
Oh, 100%. That's always the fear with them is like, at least for me, it's like, oh, I'm going to go and it's going to be like a bunch of people who may or may not be sort of like out of my
right. And there's like,
age range
what
or
if there's only like
something, but there was
100
like-
people there, and yeah.
Well, you also think almost be a room full of just like a bunch of sweaty dudes, and it's really not that at
Yeah.
all. Like people were kind of like everyone there for the most part like looked pretty good. People were kind of dressed
Respect.
up. There was
Everyone was wearing
girls, there
deodorant.
was-
It's no open
everyone
bracket.
was wearing deodorant. There was
Yeah.
girls, there was guys. Like
No.
it was a mixed party, and it was honestly
Yeah,
a
that's
really good
not
time.
day one of the open bracket. That's for sure. I mean, that's something else right there. Things you love to see, though. Well, I'm glad it was fun, though. I mean, I was interested to hear about it. We hadn't talked about it yet because we wanted to save it for the pod. So we were like, I was interested to hear how it went down.
But it was
But see,
super
like-
fun. I met
like-
Clayster too.
Yeah, it was
That-
Clay like, well, dude, thanks for like, simping for me the whole year on New York. Like,
Well, that's always like the thing. 'Cause I'm like, I never know. Like, I don't know if like they've seen this show or not or whatever. So
Right.
like, I kind of like, and I don't want to like impose like, oh, have you seen my podcast? So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna like kind of keep it cool. He was, I think, by far the like most personable out of all of them.
Yeah.
And
which makes sense.
yeah, and for me, I'm like flying high, like, because like it's a lot of stimulation happening.
Oh, for sure.
Of
So
course.
he starts like talking to me. He said something about this hat actually, and it being in Dallas and NASA being in Dallas or whatever. But it was super super cool of him. I was pretty nervous, but we got the pictures.
That's cool.
Literally every single player was super cool. Neptune was super cool. It was just a vibe. It was a vibe.
100%.
That's awesome.
Great.
Well, because like looking at it from like an overarching view, where we have this like franchise discussion, like that's like this is how you build like a fan base. Like you do
Right.
these
The
events,
city-based
right?
this is the goal of city-based franchising.
so,
it's
like-
like to create these local fan
definitely.
bases.
And I mean, at least for New York, I think it works. Like,
Yeah.
I even went to like when Zuma was like part of New York and he was like doing the flank and they're doing like the flank live or whatever. And that ended up being in some place in New Jersey. I went to that and I went alone. And it was also like a good number of people show up to these things. And it's not like completely like one-sided, just like, unhygienic guys. Like it's a pretty diverse audience.
Yeah,
there.
no,
And
for sure, for
it's
sure.
really, really cool. Honestly, I think New York does it really well. At least I haven't been to like the other.
Yeah.
people's
Well, I
stuff.
mean, the Rokkr stuff, and people have always talked well about the Rokkr stuff. I'm sure orgs are going to get better and better at that as we get out of COVID and like more towards normalcy. So it's always like the upside of it just sucks that we haven't got to see the upside of these city-based franchise models because of COVID. And it's really stunted the growth of things for sure.
And I think something worth mentioning, I only saw one green wall hoodie at the Subliners event. And like,
That is shocking.
nothing against the green wall, but usually you go to these things and it's like everybody there's green wall.
OpTic
And it's
fans,
like,
yeah.
it's like it's not even the team we're here that we're supposed to be supporting, right?
Yeah,
but that
for
just
sure.
But everybody there was like decked out with like Subliner stuff for the most part, and
Definitely. I mean, I think that was one goal of franchising was to hopefully diversify the fan bases a little bit. Like, CWL, I mean, you go to an event, if OpTic's playing, it's all OpTic, which I mean, to be fair, even at like the stage 5 major, you could definitely feel that with OpTic and when they played. But like, hopefully as we get closer and closer to actually like host these events in other cities around the United States, that you get a pretty dang good turnout. The goal is that eventually OpTic can actually be the away team. If there's a New York home series, there's more New York fans there than OpTic fans, which would be tough to do.
I mean,
That's saying something.
I think it could be the case with New York, just because the population of New York is just insane and how passionate
and
New York
they got the
fans can be.
superstars in their team, and if they're good, then
And if they're good, so like I do think a New York event, I think it would still be a home game for New York.
do you think? I don't know.
I think.
bro.
I mean, we
think-
haven't been to a LAN with OpTic and like
That's
New
true.
York together at New York, so like I can't say for sure, but I know the New York fans are like people
They're
love
growing.
New York.
Yeah,
They're growing, and
too.
people are
No,
into the
it's
New York
interesting.
team. They want the New York team to win.
If this Subliners team is like a top 3 team, like undoubtedly, if they ever had an event in New York, then I think it's possible. But like, it's hard to see the Green Walls getting outnumbered at an event in the next year.
And you gotta say too, like props
If
like
Scump's
Gersh.
playing.
Don't underestimate
and-
New York. Don't underestimate New York.
Props to Gersh and the social media team over at New York too. Like they've been killing it as well.
They
So
kill
For
it.
sure.
They absolutely kill it.
Definitely.
Which
Things
is cool
to
to
see,
see.
boys. But I mean, if you guys want to listen to the podcast, you can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Spotify. You can watch on YouTube. You can drop that comment on YouTube or those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Spotify's got to catch up. They got to figure that thing out where we can get some feedback on Spotify. But, we've had some really nice reviews. We had some YouTube reviews I want to read at some point. We had people just drop some comments, like some little review comments. And we have a review on Apple Podcasts. Sam, what do you got for us?
Sure do. So, precursor, I do got to apologize. I've been struggling with a little bit of cold this week. So not only are you going to hear stuttering and voice cracks, but you're also going to hear nasal. Voice.
Mute.
The trifecta.
So right now we got the trifecta of everything that makes a podcaster horrible. So bear with me, boys.
It's all about the confidence. It's all about the confidence.
All about the
It gives
confidence.
the podcast character, really.
It does.
It does.
It gives the podcast like a villain to hate.
Yeah, 100%. You're the Joker.
Okay, that's a road. Yeah, sure, we could go with that angle. I was thinking more personable, more relatable. But
No.
villain, sure, whatever.
Yeah. So I had to do a little bit of digging here because there hasn't been a new one in a while, which it's okay. It's okay. But this one comes from the Moose Lord King Duke,
Goat,
which is just a phenomenal name. 5 stars, of course. I have enjoyed every minute of every episode since I started watching a bit over a year ago. Thank you. That's insane.
That's a bold take.
Rex, Sam, and Josh are an amazing trio and all bring their own qualities to the table. Despite their opinions on some topics being very different, all 3 of them have a phenomenal knowledge of competitive Call of Duty, which makes the podcast as compelling as any show around. Rex's, well, Josh, responses to when Josh asks how everyone is doing before they get going is consistently highlight across every episode. My only criticism is for Bash, of course.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Our resident villain on the Best of 3 podcast.
All right. Criticism for Bash. He's basically like the Joker of the show. Like,
I legit didn't even read this either. So
that's hilarious.
You have a great head of hair, brother. You got to stop hiding it under a hat. Hey, there's no hat today.
Okay,
so
all right.
there we go.
Oh my word. What are these, dude?
Let that mane fly, baby. I know bad hair days are a thing, so if that's the reason, then I apologize. You 3 are absolute legends. Thank you guys for blessing everyone of my Tuesdays and the occasional Wednesdays and the occasional Thursdays. So thank you for that review. I do appreciate it. Sorry for it.
So I mean, Sam, why do you wear hats? I mean, it's not because the big balloon head, right?
Yeah, there's a scene where I just have this ginormous head sometimes, and the hat kind of balances it out. So that's kind of why it happens. But
you prefer wide-angled lenses for the head because it's.
I do prefer wide-angle lenses so I can sit in the middle. and be squished.
100%. Wow, perfect. Guys, I think it's time for the news of the week, boys. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's go.
Ooh.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
News here. Come get your Call of Duty news. This week
at it again.
in the Call of Duty news, we got a 12th team.
Wow.
The Craft Sports Group.
Patriots Nation, baby. Let's go.
The owner of the Patriots is who also owns the Boston Uprising in the Overwatch League. Will have the Boston CDL team.
Yes.
I don't think we know what their team name is going to be yet.
The Boston Breach.
The Boston Breach.
How do you feel about the Boston Breach? That's the rumored name right now. Well, not rumored. It's basically confirmed. They basically leaked out their own name here.
I'm curious why it's called Boston Breach.
That's a good question.
Why is it Breach? I mean, I get the Breach with the Call of Duty thing.
Yeah.
Is there a Boston, is there something
Boston
historical with it? With
Breach. I don't know. That's a good question. I could probably look up the lore of the Breach of London or Breach of Boston. I honestly don't know. I did a quick Google search. Nothing coming up that's obvious.
No, either way, it's that original. It's that original.
Yeah. This is not This is not the Boston fart clouds. Did you see that? Was like a
yeah. Boston FC. The
Oh man.
breach of contract. I mean, there's a lot of law firms that are looking for in Boston that are excited about this. So.
Absolutely.
So we assume that this is going to be another like heavy hitter LAG rich organization, which
Sure hope
is
so.
got to be good news, right?
I mean, there was I don't know a ton about the Overwatch situation from them, but I didn't. You were saying that you weren't sure exactly how much of a spender they were in Overwatch. I mean, have they been a good team at all early on, like at least early on in the leagues, or?
So I watched Overwatch League mainly, like more avidly, like in the first and second season.
Few years, yeah.
Yeah, and I ended when after Goats was kiboshed, and that's about when I was on my way out. But I don't remember them being known as like a rich team. So I'm not sure how much Kraft is like funding these teams yet.
Right. I mean, Kraft, I know the New England Revolution, the MLS team that he owns, sometimes had frustrations with their ownership group not being willing to spend up for transfers. But that was in the past. That might not be the last year or two. So it kind of depends. The thing is that it's not fully going to be operated by Kraft, right? So they're partnering with I'm blank on the name here.
Like
Oxygen.
Yeah, Oxygen Esports. So
Yep.
that's a little weird. And we don't know exactly how that's going to play out yet. So thoughts on that?
Yeah,
I think at least we at least are spared from a Paris situation where it's like maybe he's not funny enough, but like in dire situations, we know Kraft has got the money to shell out to save the day for whatever reason if he needs to.
And I will say too, with them pairing with Oxygen, like their Oxygen is in the HCS too. So like I think they're like gonna like want their expertise in like competitive like games like Halo and Call of Duty.
Just getting into maybe console esports and hopefully using some of their connections to get involved.
I think this is actually a really cool move where they're willing to not like try to field it themselves, and they're gonna like basically use Oxygen as their like means of like getting into the Call of Duty. So like that's cool. Like you've got a org that knows what they're doing, pairing with an org that has a lot of backing and like a ton of like experience. Like that, this could be like a really a huge deal for
because we're not exactly clear on how it's working because they tweeted today like we just became New England's largest esports organization, KSE, XOXG, and at the Boston Uprising. So it looks like they're taking like kind of like operation of a lot of the Kraft sports and entertainment investing core to Oxygen Esports, which is interesting. So they also announced that they have the Gronkowski brothers as investors today, and Danny Ainge, who is the general manager for the Celtics, as an investor as well.
Oh, nice.
So they bring in some like New England money, So although to be fair, Danny Ainge just got hired today as the GM for the Utah Jazz, which is kind of ironic. But so the Gronks are in, which is all 5 of the Gronk brothers, including Rob. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, they're at least going to have a lot of influence in the New England area with those personalities behind them. So hopefully they're involved pretty significantly.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that would be huge for the Boston team if like Rob Gronkowski is like promoting them in some way.
Oh, it'd be sick.
Showing up at like their events or like, he's going to host on stage like, brew for Boston, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, obviously I'm hyped because I'm a Patriots fan and I'm pointing right now at my Tom Brady picture in the background. But like, I got the Patriots helmet down there. I got a closet with hoodies.
All there.
It's great. So it's like, I'm excited for this to say the least. And we'll see what happens, obviously. Right now, when it comes to their roster, people are assuming this is Method's squad. Method's Politician Venom. They've been scrimming a lot of the pro teams. They, at least from the results I've seen, it hasn't been like fantastic by any means. But the team would definitely be competitive at least. And, you have 4 players who I think could be at least competitive throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
And it's a good roster to start with, especially with professionals. You got the entertainment side with methods there, and you get some branding with methods. So I think overall that roster would make a lot of sense for Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. This pretty much was also the rumored Demon Cat squad too, right? Like when it was Washington.
That was with Vivid before he went to Florida.
Yep.
And then Venom came in.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, what do you guys think? What's the best case scenario for a squad like that?
I mean, I think it's, again, since it's so late into the game, I think this is probably the best squad they can get. Like this squad pretty much knows what they're doing. They were already about to get into the league with the Demon Cats.
Would you say Paul's the best player out there that's not signed right now?
I would say so. Yeah,
Paul and probably Methods. Yeah, if you're not like, and then you got Tish. Then you got Tish and Venom. So it's like that's a really solid squad for literally being the last team to pick up a squad.
For sure. And like not to foreshadow so much for this episode, there could be a couple of underrated players there.
Oh, like all right, calm down, Sam.
I don't know. There could be some comebacks. I don't know.
They seem a little like they don't seem like a totally like garbage team. Like it seems like they're a dark horse. Like they could pull out some crazy wins.
World War II TJ Howley? Question mark.
We'll see. Yeah, that's the question.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this team really could have some pop off moments.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, like they present some more slaying upside, I think, than like maybe like an LAG last year or a London squad for most of last year as well. But it's hard to see this team being a top 7 team. I mean.
Yeah.
That'd be tough to see. As
of right now, at least.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that. So, dang. It's crazy, man. That was really exciting. Like, I'm really hyped.
Considering we almost had 11 teams, this is awesome news. So.
Right. To get a big name and investment group like that in there versus some like filler situation or not having 12. I mean, again, I did see Clay tweet like, why are we getting excited about a 12 team? Like this should be the bare minimum, which is fair. But again, like we're being optimistic here, Clay. Come on, man. Like, dude,
we're in our baby stages right now.
We're really down in the dumps. Like, let's try to get like a little bit
of L's lately. Like,
where we can get them.
Seriously.
In other news, there was a possible format leak from our very own Doug Sensor Martin.
Doug Sensor Martin, baby.
He's been on one lately.
We love it.
Yeah, so basically the leak is that there will be 6 LANs this year, a Challenger versus Pro LAN, which we've talked about before.
Very interesting.
And Champs.
Yeah, CDL Intel said he expected the announcement to be like this week. Which he said that, he said that last week that I was expecting it to be this next week. So it hasn't happened yet. So, based off how this goes, it'll probably be good news, guys. It's been announced by the time you're listening to this.
Probably.
It'll probably have already been announced. So we'll see. But I don't know. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on 6 LANs, which it basically be the same amount as last year.
Well, there's more to it. And I want to.
Oh, right. CDL Intel.
Yeah.
So CDL Intel was told. Oh, fire away. You got it.
So he was told that the CDL are considering having 4 majors, that only the top 8 teams will be attending the majors. The bottom 4 would not attend. Then there would be Champs, which would be 5. And then the AM versus Pro LAN, which would be the 6th one. Which
My thought
I'm
is
a fan of the AM versus Pro LAN.
That's great.
Oh, that's like that. That's a huge step. I honestly never thought we'd ever see this.
I didn't
personally
think so either.
Like ever. So the fact that like we're even talking about it now is huge.
Right. The big freak out obviously was the 8 teams at the events, right?
I don't understand that. Like why limit it?
Here's my theory.
Yeah, go ahead.
My theory is that this leaked through the seams before the CDL knew if they were having 12 teams or not. They're like, what's the only way to combat having 11 teams at a major is by doing a qualification for the top 8.
True. That'd be a good point.
My theory is now that they got a 9th or a 12th, that they'll have all 12 at the majors.
Yeah, because you can't have 11 teams. That'd just be
I mean,
weird.
if they had all 12 last year, why the hell would you not?
Oh, for sure.
If you have 12 teams.
Yeah.
Well, they've never started out wanting to do that, though. If I remember right, they've
Last year they had,
I don't even know if they
Modern
wanted
Warfare.
to do it last year like that, but they changed it. There was some backlash or whatever. But they originally did want just like the top 8 being there at the major.
Well, yeah, that was just the home series for Modern Warfare, like, right? The home series.
Yeah, well,
was
the home
only
series
8
in
at a
Modern
time.
Warfare, they had the 8 of 12 every time. But that was like the limit travel times. I think this year with having if you only have 4 majors, like plus then the other 2 champs and the US Open, then you have to have all 12 teams there. It's like, come on.
You gotta, yeah. Absolutely.
I don't mind only having like 6 events this year because it basically be the exact same as last year, which it felt fine to me. The only thing last year is that sometimes like the middle of the year, like stage 4, those like like the group play matches got a little stale online.
They did.
They got a little stale heading into stage 4.
Yeah.
Kind of like where the viewership was like really low. I think like OpTic hit like 50,000 viewers for their matches heading into stage 4. But then stage 4 ended up with great viewership at the actual major. So I guess it works out.
Yeah. Like,
So-
I'd be curious to see, like, with like the 6 lands, what's their plan for like online play? Is it going to be kind of similar to the same thing where they're doing like 3 weeks of online and then 1 week of LAN?
I would imagine so.
Probably. Yeah,
But-
the Amber's Pro LAN.
Yeah.
But do you think that's going to be like? When do you think they would do that? Would you think they would do?
I mean,
champs
I would
and
hope it'd
then
be
they
during
do
the middle-
Amber's Pro LAN.
No. I would hope it'd be in the early middle of the year because you want to be able to see which AMs are the real deal and which ones aren't. It's like
Right.
ideally you get the event done like, in March or April or something like that. It's like maybe April. So then you still have, May, June, July, that 3-month span of teams picking up players and picking up this insane roster mania. Hopefully you have like setting up for an insane roster mania after the AMV Pro LAN would be the ideal situation.
Do you think they're going to use just like Elite Series? Like they're just going to use the Elite Series teams?
Probably.
Or do you think it's going to be like they're not going to just do like a big open bracket and then
I would be surprised.
like they're going to pick like the top, whatever AM.
Yeah, those 8 Elite Series teams probably.
Yeah. But that
Yeah.
gets
And then-
weird because the Elite Series teams like switch out. Like can switch out.
So I don't know. It would really make whatever series or like like season 2 of the Elite Series, like that would make that season really important because you got to like top 4 after the finals to get invited to this or something like
Mhm.
probably something like that, which would be pretty crazy. I mean, again, we want this to happen, and if that ends up being the case, that's fantastic. And hopefully you have Europe, NA, APAC, and LTAM all there.
Absolutely. That would be huge. Like,
Yeah.
again, it'd be more like the World Cup or like the Olympics almost,
Right.
So
Having everybody back there like a normal, like, oh,
Mhm.
shocker, like a normal land should be.
yeah,
It's
it's what we've been having for the past
What we had
10
for
years.
10 years, like, wow,
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
But definitely positive news, though. That's good as long as there's 12 teams. That's good.
Yes. Moving on to the next piece of news, and this is big. So, as we all know, sadly, the scouting series was canceled. But
Mm-hmm.
our very own, I Hold Shift,
Our very own.
everyone is
I
our
mean,
very own.
If it's
Uh,
anyone's.
the quintessential saint,
The
of
goat.
amateur Call of Duty.
The lion.
He is essentially holding the placeholder scouting series that is called
bear.
the Next Threat Showcase, which will include Europe and North America. There will be 8 captains who will draft teams from a pool of the best challengers players to fight in a double elimination bracket. He is looking for sponsors for the prizing, so there will be prizing, hopefully. This event also has approval from Activision, but he does need help finding support for a prize pool for these passionate players. And you can
Hell
go
yeah.
check out his Twitter. And if you have some branding opportunities or what have you, his email is on there. This event is an incredible way for the community to see and learn about all of the players fighting through challenges this year. And you sponsors can be part of it.
Like you're
With
reading
the
an ad
broadcast
read.
team that continues to bring you the Challengers community streams, we are producing a high-tier draft show before the
Fire.
event,
Yes.
which that's amazing. That's something we've all been wanting.
Yes.
This draft show for, like we wanted with the scouting series, which they kind of did, but I think this one is going to be even better. So, and there will be
if he doesn't
multiple
get a prize
match
pool-
point of views throughout the event itself.
Bro,
So
if Boom TV,
check that
like,
out. When it's
someone
announced.
needs to sponsor this. This would be sick.
If we don't see I Hold Shift on the main desk for Call of Duty this year,
100%.
I'm gonna freak out. Truly, the
Yeah.
passion that this man brings,
Dude, it's unreal.
it's unreal. Like
It's really unreal.
last year, him and his team, obviously, like he had a team behind him, but like he like held up challengers, and this year, like he's gonna be doing his own scouting series. You got to show the man support if you're not already. Please do, because this is just phenomenal. We already talked about like being sad that we're not going to get the scouting series, and
And then now
he
we get a
brings
better
this.
one.
We get a possibly even better one because
Mhm.
there it's gonna be casted. I'm sure he'll be talking with the captains. He'll be talking about the mindset and like drafting these guys. So I think this
And
is gonna be phenomenal.
the CDL coaches will get in on it at least a little bit. At least some of them will
Oh, of
like get in
course,
on
yeah.
it and talk about it. So that'll be really, really cool for sure.
Absolutely.
And if it
Yeah,
has a
so-
prize pool, then you're getting them to go hard too, which is
Oh,
like
definitely.
that's really fun. So there needs to be some money on the line for sure. But I'm looking forward to it to say the least.
Mhm. 100%.
Absolutely. We don't know a timeline, do we, about when he's thinking
No,
about it?
not yet.
Yeah.
But probably early January, I would imagine, unless it like they get it in before Christmas. But that seems surprising. That'd be surprising.
Absolutely. Yeah, because really, like this would be like the best like intro for the CDL. Like we do this January, then the CDL kicks off in like late January or like early February. You know,
Yeah.
Like, this can be like the best gap filler ever. Honestly. But yeah, I am so excited. I'm so glad that like basically the scouting series is back because I was really bummed hearing that they're gonna like just like not even do it anymore. So Shift, you're the GOAT. Thank you for all you do. Truly.
Word.
Yes. Also quick update real quick on the Boston team. I just saw this on Twitter. They have signed a general manager and head coach already,
Oh wow.
but it has not. They said stay tuned for details.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
Okay,
This
okay.
just in.
This just
breaking
in.
news, things you love to see.
Breaking
And
news.
while we're here, since we're doing breaking news, oh never mind.
You're
Actually,
pregnant.
Keep going. Whoa, I'm pregnant, guys.
What?
It's a modern medical miracle.
Whoa.
We're-
Shocking. While we're here, you're pregnant.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's all I got. Keep firing away, Rex.
So Challengers Cups 1 and 2. We've already played the first one, but they are not going to be awarding Challengers points. And then Control is being replaced with an extra S&D map.
Yeah,
There's some mixed reviews on this.
Yeah, it's been a little tough. I don't know. I mean, like, it made sense that you don't do the pro points for now. I guess they played for like what, the $2,000 grand prize in NA and $500 for second, but like that's nothing. That's not really life changing for anyone. Only 2 teams are getting any money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's good practice. It was fun to watch. I mean, like it was fun to watch Shift's community stream of it, and the grand finals was a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really weird to watch because it's like, they all ask for the minimap to be blocked out in S&D. So you're watching more blocked out S&D minimaps, which is kind of annoying. And then, which I get it, but frustrating to watch as a viewer. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, no Challengers points. Sure. Like, I honestly don't have a strong opinion on this. It is what it is.
And
Yeah.
Fair play. Fair play.
Yeah, no, I agree with the decision to not do challengers points because like really we're not playing like the full league. You know,
We're not really even playing the full game. Yeah.
When you don't have the third game mode, it's not fair because a team could be way better at that third game mode than S&D or than Hardpoint. So like you're not really getting the full deal though. So like I get that. Like I'm still glad that we're still seeing the cups. I think it's great practice. I think it's great like experience for the teams to like get in there, play.
Just needed content too, like something to watch.
Really. And like the two, like I know it's not the most prize pool, but even like it, you know, a couple $100 for the top 3 is nice, but
top 2.
Yeah, top 2 actually. Yeah, thank you. But
so
it definitely stinks, but I think it could have been a crap show if they would have awarded pro points with just Hardpoint and S&D, and then say like someone comes on the scene and is like amazing at control, and it's like we could have won the first 2 Challengers Cups by being good at control.
Definitely, I mean, it definitely feels a little whack.
Yeah,
if you don't. So I feel like I'm with you there.
I mean, yeah, there would be a lot of backlash just in regards to like if there were pro points, you know, we're going to be hearing about it. You know, once control is in, it's going to be like, oh, the people who won, like it's just be drama all over the place.
Yeah.
And I will say too, sorry to cut you off here. This is going off like a tweet from like Shift too, where like people are getting mad at like the competitive ops team. Like this is not the competitive ops team's like fault. Like they're like truly, like they're doing their best. Like they're like I think they're being like the most
it's Sledgehammer and Activision.
It's literally the devs of the game not creating a good third game mode. Like so like put
the competitive support.
Put your like I don't want to say hate because like
blame
shouldn't hate, but yeah, like put your blame towards someone else. Like the ops team of Challengers, I think, are doing their gosh darn hardest to
I agree.
To make sure it's like a good competitive season. So
yeah,
I just want to throw that in there to the people that think it's their fault. It's not their fault.
Facts. I'm with you.
Yeah. So let's talk placings though. This first cup, it's going to tell us a little bit about who's playing well, who's not. So third place, we'll start at the bottom. Third place was GodRx, Pander, Pentagram, which was the old BBG team. They replaced Kismet with a player named Vickle.
Yep. Kind of a breakout European player last year from Spain.
Mm-hmm. I think he's an 18-year-old. He's one of the 18-year-old crackheads. 19.
Yeah, recently moved to the
now.
United States this year to play in the NA scene, which is really interesting. So pretty cool.
Second place is Gravity, Havoc, Scrappy, and Capsidal.
Yeah, Capsidal. Yeah. They sorry, finish up and I'll talk.
And then first place was Assault, Classic, Exceed, and Shawnee, the vets.
Yeah, man. Which their team name was 18 and Cracked.
Yeah.
High quality.
I love it.
High quality. But no, yeah, it's actually really fun to watch. That was the grand finals came down to like right down to the wire. I think both S&Ds went like round 11. It was like really close. The hard point was like a 100-point comeback, but they 3-0'd them. But like it was like round 11, and a 100-point comeback. So it was like a really close grand final series. And like, I mean, realistically, all of them, I mean, Assault, Classic, Exceed, and Shot, all of them looked really good, dude. I was really impressed.
That's that veteran clutchness coming in.
Classic had like an ace in round 11.
Well, that's Assault too, who's on LAG, who did not have such a great season.
And Assault had some insanely impressive plays in the Berlin hardpoint, and it was just like, I was impressed.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think it's also worth noting who got fourth place, just because I'm a fan of the guy, was Parasite,
Team
Diamond
Canada.
Con, Royalty, and Exotic. They got fourth, which again, you know, Parasite.
Well, they've
still
just
in
been
our
so consistent.
Top placing players every year.
Yeah,
just throwing it out there.
We should
well,
go
I'm
back
happy to
and
see the, I'm
along
happy
with
to see the
Diamond
pro
Con,
players
Royalty, and
winning.
Exotic, who also have really high placings.
Like I was just saying, like I'm happy to see the pro players winning. Like, you know, Assault, Classic, Exceed, Shawnee, Gravity, Havoc, like GodRx, Pander, you know, Exotic, Royalty, Diamondcon, Parasite, guys who have been in the pro league in the past 2 years. Like so many guys who have been right there. Good to see him like continually keeping up with the winning.
They're still successful.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it kind of provides like, all right, online COD can be crazy, but like the good players are still winning. Like, you know, it just shows that being good at COD matters. Like there is consistency to go around.
Right. So that was the Cup 1 standings or results.
Yep.
More news on challengers in the NA. Oh, yeah.
Well, real quick, I'll just say the other winning teams. Just EU was the Journey, Lucky, Metals, and Real squad. APAC was the Sets, Nimble, Zepa, and Crimza squad. And then LTAM was Rafa, Legend, Savage, and Chaos. So,
which the EU squad, at the beginning of every year, it seems like they usually are really good. And then they kind of start dipping Spanish to like a top 4 team, but they're still really good. But
100%, it'll be interesting to see how they end up playing out.
They also are
the Denza, Harry, Vortex, Weeman squad was kind of what I think was kind of the favorite going into that one. Ended up getting second. So Beans is back in the top 6, baby. Things you'll ever see.
Beans.
Let's go, Beans.
So more challengers news, more sad news. A prolific player, Saints, is stepping away from COD. He posted a tweet on December 15th. Saying, taking a break from challengers, my mental isn't in the right place right now. Nothing I want more than for my teammates to make the league and succeed because they deserve it more than anyone currently. And I believe they have a better chance at doing so without me. Be back later, Heart.
Crazy.
And rough. I mean, Saints was a player who was touted as next up. Like he was one of the best in challengers that hadn't been picked up yet.
He's a COD legend. Like, and he played so well last year. Like, he deserved to be in the league. So the fact that, you know, my thought was, and me and Sam were talking about this a little bit earlier, was like, if he's doing this, he knows he's not getting the 12th spot. So that in my head, that means they already have their roster locked up. Because like
I think so too.
You wouldn't step away, or at least he knows that he's for sure not getting the spot. Maybe they don't have it locked up yet, but he got to know. Because like you wouldn't step away from the game unless you for sure knew that the 12th team wasn't going to have you on.
Absolutely, and like I think it's safe to say too that like Saints was one of those fringe guys last year. Like with the New York Subliners reserve team or challengers team, like they were literally like one of the best.
Yeah.
So for him to like step away is a huge deal where like he's right there. He must know it's like there's no chance. Like at least right now.
Right. He's just stepping away. I think he very well will come back.
I think he'll come back.
They just got.
But I mean, like him, Spark,
here.
Pro Loot, and Mohawk, they won Challengers finals last year. Like. Mm-hmm. So if one of the Challengers finals guys realizes he has no chance to make it to the CDL, basically, at least early on, it's just tough, man. It's a tough spot to be in.
It sucks.
And then replacing him on his team is going to be Yeez, the Florida Mutineers.
Yeah, so creating a little bit of Challengers roster mania here today.
Yeah.
Always love a little bit of that. What else we got?
More big news. Call of Duty is offering full ride scholarships. More specifically, the Bay State College
in Massachusetts
is offering full ride scholarships to some players. I'm not sure if it's all of them, but it might be all of these players, and they are notable players.
Yeah, headlined by COD champion.
Yeah, Justin, Silly, Fargo, Palmer. I'm not going to go the rest of everybody's else full name. Phantoms, Rex, and Druxy. I'm not sure if they all got full ride scholarships, but at least one of them did to go play college COD at Bay State College.
That's like full ride. I mean, like we went to look up their prices and it looked like it was like $50K a year.
Bay State College is it's a private college, right?
I don't know. I would imagine.
Either way, it's an expensive college.
Good old Boston.
No matter what college, it being a full ride, for Call of Duty Esports is a big deal.
Mhm.
I mean, has there ever been a full ride
Not
console esports
well.
scholarship
Has
ever?
there been a full ride for any esport?
Any esport? I don't know.
Well, for sure, like League, I'm pretty sure League of Legends would for
Full
sure
ride?
have. I guess not a full ride. Yeah,
Full ride's a big deal.
it is.
I mean, like
It
most
is.
golfers don't get full rides. Like most, like, you know, no track athletes get like full rides. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like I'd imagine like the top ones would either be like League or like CS:GO if it was still a thing. Like,
right.
still-
But you also
No,
have
for
to
sure.
think. I don't know if Bay State College has any like big sports teams either. So like maybe this is their
Yeah, that's
entry into
fair.
like, you know, we don't have like this advertising that like some state university has with their football team. Like maybe we're gonna start delving into it with the esports thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%.
Maryville, I bet, has done full ride scholarships for League or something.
Mhm.
Because I know
Yeah.
they've been pretty heavy with the esports stuff.
Bay State in 2018, Bay State College became first Massachusetts institution to join the National Association of Collegiate Esports.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So they have kind of been on this grind for a little while now, at least.
So we got something else, brewing here. We got some college Call of Duty.
Yeah, in challengers.
And now that we even have some notable players in there, it might be worth like more so to be paying attention to it because now you get to watch Silly play against like these college and how good, I guess, are they really? And I remember in last year in college COD, the
like
winner,
Nero
the
and a few other
champions-
guys played in that.
Yeah, who was the champions of college COD last year?
I don't know.
Who was on here?
But I mean, either way, still crazy. It's definitely going to change things. We'll see what happens moving forward. Like, there's a world where this could become more legit than we thought. Like Noise. So like guys like Fame and Noisy played last year. 47 played, and a few other guys that were pretty known. Ethan Too Nice, Radio played. So there's some like known players who were playing in college COD last year.
Yeah.
Overall,
so apparently the powerhouse team of college COD last year was Ottawa University. So we'll see. And if you're like the best in the college COD league last year, like you're probably still pretty good.
Mhm.
So we'll see how they do against it. And like now, maybe there's going to be a lot more tighter competition there. It might be worth tuning into.
yeah, the guys who won college COD last year they got top 32 at this 2K. And Radio got top 8 with Mochila, Noisy, and Welly.
Mhm.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, like that's if you're the top player in college COD, you can be like a top, 32 apparently top 8 type player. And now with Silly and those and Dylan Rex and those types of guys playing, I mean, that's legit.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Some more news. And I think this has happened every single year, and there's always some weird thing about it, but seems like Maven and Joe and probably the rest of the casters don't know if they'll be casting next year yet.
Yeah, what? This is so weird. Like,
does this not happen every year? Does this post
last year,
not
that
get
was
post every year?
Last year, Merc and Maven were holding out their contracts, so we didn't know if Merc and Maven were going to be casting.
Yeah.
But now this year, apparently none of them know.
Well, are they holding out their contracts again?
No, Merc and
Could
Maven
be.
said they didn't know yet.
Okay.
But like, it sounded like it wasn't on their end.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean that they're not holding back on their contracts, though.
Well, I don't know. I'm
Like,
just
they're-
saying.
maybe they're asking
from how
for
they
more
said
money
it,
or
it
something.
sounded like he said, "Hey, got to like," because someone asked, "Hey, you got to think? Are you guys casting CDL this year?" And he said, "No idea." LOL.
Yeah.
No
So, I mean,
idea.
no
LOL.
idea. LOL isn't reassuring.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
for
we'll
Maven.
see. Yeah. I mean,
but yeah, not ideal for sure. I didn't
We'll
realize how
see.
much news we had this episode.
I know there's a lot here.
we are about an hour ahead,
Um,
boys.
Okay. So we're gonna move faster. There was a CDL players meetings. People from LAG didn't show up for scrims against OpTic Texas. OpTic Texas started roasting them. Dash is like, if that was if that was me, people would be roasting me. Scump's like, that was me, people would be roasting me. And then Slasher kind of responded on Twitter, was like, hey, this was a meeting and this seems like more important stuff about like more relevant.
And then
right
people
now.
started roasting OpTic.
And people started roasting OpTic. Poor OpTic. I don't think they deserve to be roasted for this. They get, honestly, OpTic at this point, I think it's a short end of a stick sometimes more than they deserve.
That's
just
fair.
my 2 cents. And then Slack headed to Warzone. Spoof headed to Warzone.
Whoa, wait. So the players' meetings, I mean, basically they were talking about some of the future of the CDL and stuff. And I mean, at first I was kind of like, oh, quick, cool. Like, you know, good to see them talking with the players.
Mm-hmm.
And Slasher just kind of said, but then Slasher was like, you know, reply with a gif of how this went. It was just like, just
Smile
nod and
and
wave,
wave,
just
boys.
not, smile and wave. So not
Yeah.
like the most reassuring meeting either here. So, you know, we'll see.
They made it sound like they're kind of fighting with their hands behind their back. I think I saw
Yeah.
written it somewhere. Vanguard news.
Or so Slack and Spoof, you know,
Slack's headed to Warzone.
got to reel you in here.
Spoof headed to Warzone.
Pretty crazy. I mean,
Makes
that's tough
sense.
for Slacks, man.
Yeah. So Vanguard news, League play launching with season 2.
Supposedly.
Wow.
Supposedly.
That's what MW2 Ghost, who's been a pretty decent leaker so far, is saying he's heard.
Yeah, but season 2? Are we in preseason
Right.
or season 1 right now?
I'm a little bit worried that he said league play. Hopefully that was just kind of like a synonym for ranked play that he didn't really think about.
Yeah.
Because we don't want league play. We want ranked play.
Ranked.
Yeah, I just want Elo. I just don't want to be Fire, Dragon, Diamond, Emerald 3. I just don't.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't
for
get
sure.
any
Same.
sort of gratification out of it.
But we don't really know when season 2 is launching yet. Season 2.
Yeah, because we're in season 1.
Yeah, I don't know. So that
Are
would
we
be the
in
question.
season? We're not in preseason. We're in season 1.
Oh, expect season 2 to go live on February 1st.
Wow.
That's a little depressing.
A little depressing.
That's a little depressing.
It's okay. It's
Yeesh.
okay. You know, we'll get to see what they got cooking for us.
Oh my gosh, that's still far away. That's 7 weeks away.
I know,
Oh,
it's like,
shoot me. Shoot me, please.
It is rough. It's like, ugh, bro.
You know, guys. You know, just if you're gonna do it, just
Smile and wave.
kind of go on strike, play some Halo ranked. It's super fun.
No,
once
don't do that.
Vanguard
Definitely
ranked
not.
comes out.
So, FaZe and Vanguard Warzone, nice, very good time. The Warzone illuminating Bloom. Is Vanguard gonna illuminate Bloom? I don't know.
Nice.
How's it going over there, Rex?
Have we pushed over?
Well,
the
I mean,
news?
why would it will be Vanguard. It says in the future we'll be removing Bloom from Vanguard weapons entirely.
In Warzone.
In just Warzone.
So we don't know if it's in multiplayer.
Mhm.
So
They'll
that's
probably
to be
remove
decided as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And then FaZe was in Warzone now too, which is cool. COD champion.
Yes, they got the banners in there like they did
Yeah,
with
they
the
look good.
Empire.
They actually look really good.
I
It
mean,
is pretty cool.
that's the one thing that they do right. At least they do that because it is super, super cool. I can only
Mhm.
imagine how many casuals go in there and they
Yeah.
see the banners like, who are those people? Like, I don't know. I think it's super cool. And they're high quality like images too.
Yeah. That's it. That's all the news.
That's
Look
it.
at that, folks. Things you love to see. So
Perfect.
that was a wild news segment. That took a minute.
It was.
But there's a lot of
Good
really good
combo.
conversation in there.
Good
But
combos.
yeah, absolutely. So I guess without further ado, we can kind of get into these most underrated players in heading into Vanguard. So without further ado, let's get it, boys. Let's hit it. Yes, sir, baby. Most underrated players in the CDL. I mean, there is a lot to kind of take in here when considering the most underrated. We did this about 10 months ago, or maybe like about a month before the CDL started last year. So we're about 1 year away. They're 1 year separated heading into the year. And there's kind of this weird debate of like, all right, how good do you think this player is versus how good does everyone else think this player is? Or how bad do you think this player is versus how bad do you think everybody else thinks this player is? There's always this weird kind of debate about gauging the community and what even is overrated, underrated. But in the long story short, I think the best definition is like a player who does not get enough respect for the things he brings to his team, you know? And then the question is, does a player get the respect? That'll be kind of what we'll probably be debating the most throughout this talks and people's opinions on players and then our opinions directly. So we're going to do the top like 7 or so. I assumed that like at 7, or 6 or 7, we might be debating quite a few names here.
Yeah.
You know? So I thought it might take a while. So I thought narrow it down to 7 and go from there and kind of get our top 10 through that amount. So without further ado, I think we can each nominate our player who we want to have at number 7. So Sam, who's the player you want to nominate to be at number 7?
Number 7. So I kind of like how you're talking about your definition of someone who doesn't get enough recognition, but then also kind of like thinking about this season too, kind of how they're going to be perceived going into this season too, of like, so that kind of had some weight too. So at number 7, I would like to nominate Zero.
Okay.
As an underrated player.
He's on my list. How about we nominate all of them first, and then we'll kind of like talk about them.
Yep.
Rex, who's your nomination at number 7?
So for number 7, and I don't know how to perceive maybe public opinion on this character, but
okay,
I have Scump at number 7.
What?
I think people undervalue how, I mean, I know he's like Scump, he's the god of COD or whatever, but I feel like I see a lot of like hate,
I mean,
in regards to him. And I actually do think he's really good. And I think he's probably the best on his team last year. There's like different sectors of the COD community, right? But if we don't want to use Scump, then I will say Mac.
Okay.
Mac's on my list. So I'm definitely down for Mac or Zero. So this is a player who I think the tables are kind of turned on him a little bit too. I guess before I kind of explain it, I nominate Skies at 7.
You and Skies, man.
He's obsessed with him. He's actually obsessed with him. If there's probably a player that he's talked about the most, Skies is in the top 3.
You think it's Skies?
Skies, Envoy. Who else does he talk about a lot? Probably those 2 the most.
I was going to say, it's definitely the top 2.
Skies and Envoy, like, though you love them.
I mean, Skies is up there for sure, but Attach would be up there as well.
Probably.
You know, we differ on Attach a lot. Okay, interesting. So, did either of you guys have Skies on your list? Sounded like no.
No, I mean, I think Skies is already, like, people already think Skies is good, right?
I mean, I don't know, because last year...
I feel like I'm in the minority in my perception of Skies. But I could be wrong about that.
Really? Because I think last year people had Skies like as the 25th rated player in the CDL. Like that was like the COD Reddit's rankings and nobody had any problem with it. And like heading into this year, I think we're kind of underestimating Sky's ability to like use both weapons and impact the map. Impact the map across all 3 game modes with how balanced he is. So I just think that people see him as like the public perception seems like as a top 25 type guy, where I think he's more like a top 17 type guy.
1 type of guy.
One type of guy. Yeah, totally. But I just think Sky's public perception might be a little bit underrated. So I had him at 7, obviously.
Yeah.
I actually had Zero and Mac pretty high on my list, actually. Okay. So I'm down for them to be there. But yeah, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I guess for when it comes to Skies in particular, like I think he's a phenomenal player. I do. I guess, if certainly if the public opinion is like he's like 25th, then yeah,
that's too low.
I would say that's
an
definitely
underrated
too low.
player. Yeah.
But I guess in my eyes, like I feel like he's like he does a ton for his team and he gets like pretty good recognition too. I know like with like him and Awakening as a duo, there was some
Right.
weirdness there, like recognition wise, where like
I mean,
I think Awakening got more of the recognition, possibly.
yeah.
than
In the middle of
Skies.
last season, the biggest debate is like in the middle of last season, he definitely wasn't underrated. Everyone had him as like a top 15-ish type
Yeah.
player, which is he was playing like that, in that second half, like stage 3, stage 4. But then like stage 5, their team was just not good. And then they underperformed at stage 5 and champs. And it at least kind of feels like, people don't acknowledge that Skies could be like a top 15 player right now in Vanguard or heading into it. Like at least has a chance to be, but I'm okay with leaving him off the list, but that's why I assumed you guys weren't going to have him there. So I thought I'll throw him in there.
Yeah. My argument for Zero is I think there's a lot of people who have either forgotten, how good he is, or B, kind of saw him come and go really during Cold War. He was there for the opener and then he never played. So I think people are expecting him to not do too much for this team coming in, when in reality, I think he's going to be a huge part of London, and especially, coaching up Afro, who is going to.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree. Like I actually had Zero really. I had both Zero and Mac very high on my list. So
Gotcha.
like I actually would prefer to have them higher.
Mhm.
Rex, what are you feeling with the 7th spot?
I mean, Zero is not a bad one. Like I do.
Did you have Zero on your list?
I did not have Zero on my list,
Really?
but I do understand where Sam is coming from in regards to him.
I had Zero number 2.
Here's the thing. My only thing with Zero is like we can call him an underrated player, but we haven't seen him play. We have nothing to base this off of.
No, for sure.
So
for
it's
sure.
like I haven't rated him at all in my mind, really. So that's why he's just not on my list, is because I just don't really have a rating. I just have nothing to go off of other than like Black Ops 4.
Right. I mean, it's talking about the value that he can bring to a team and like, as the leader. And then also like maybe we're underestimating his slang a little bit because he was definitely out of place on that New York Subliner squad of Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
And then heading to London, he was pretty dang good. So it's like, then in Cold War, we just didn't get a chance to see him. So I think it seems like he's forgotten, and he definitely is kind of stereotypical, like underrated.
Mhm.
Like, so I'm
Yeah.
down to have him at 7 if you guys want.
Let's do it.
I'm
okay with that.
And maybe we can kind of like, we can maybe reorganize it a little bit later if we need to.
Yeah.
But let's stick with 0 at 7 then.
'Cause I do trust Zero. Just it's more kind of a gut feeling with him. It's like I just feel like he is going to be underrated. Yeah.
For sure. All right. So now let's nominate our 6. Sam, who do you have at 6?
At 6, I have Vivid.
Interesting.
Obviously, I think he should have never gotten released from LAG.
Right. From
in the
LAG.
first place, right?
It was just a weird situation though.
Yeah, definitely. So then obviously he went to Empire, had a really good showing, but then I think he fell under the radar again, where like, he was seen as really good, but then didn't do too much after that.
And then in Roster Mania, he was the last player picked up. Like
Exactly. So I think he has this stigma to him where he's been kind of passed around.
Interesting.
From team to team, but I do think his core ability is still has much to be like shown. Honestly, like he's been phenomenal on each team he's played. He's been a really core part, and I think if used right, if paired with the correct SMG, I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. And I think,
yeah, I guess the debate would be is will he show out this year to prove that he's underrated? Like
Yes.
I'm not fully convinced that he will.
mhm.
I don't know either.
Which is fine.
But all right, let's hear you have a 7
Yeah.
Rex before we make any decisions.
I mean, can I throw Mac in there again?
Yeah, Sam, did you have Mac on your list?
I did not. I think I'm down more on Mac than you two.
Oh, interesting.
I am.
I actually had Mac at number 1.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Okay, hold on. Well, I mean, I guess I won't reveal who I have number 1. But
Yeah.
well, you know who's an interesting player, and Josh, you might love that, but I think Attach is actually a little bit underrated, or he's at least not talked about enough.
Interesting. I mean, I had him at number 8 in my honorable mention. So like, You know,
Mhm.
I had to have attach on there.
But I do feel like attach is worth mentioning. I'm not positive on public perception on how good he is, but I think he's better than what people may, including myself, are giving him credit for.
I mean, it's a weird balance because everyone loves attach, but I think if you ask like how good is attach, I don't think many people would say like anywhere near top 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think he could be.
I think he's right around that 15th. I think he's right around there.
Yeah. I think he kind of hides in the
he's
shadows.
for sure in the top 20. So it's like, I can get behind that. I would say he's definitely not in the top 5 most underrated because people do really like attach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think now he's kind of gotten the respect he deserves, but I'd be okay with attach at like a 7 or a 6. I'd rather have attach at 7 personally, and then 0 at 6.
Okay.
I'd be okay with that too.
Okay, well, let's do that. So we got attach at 7, 0 at 6. All right, interesting. So I had at number 6, I'd imagine Sam had him higher. But personally, I think a lot of the community thinks that Afro is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And so it's a weird debate of like, how underrated is he? Because there's a world where he could come out and end up being overrated. Because I think some people hype him up so much, like he's locked and loaded top 10. Some people think he's like a locked and loaded top 12 player this year. Where like some people are like, who's Afro?
Yeah.
I feel
There's just this weird, like, it depends how much you watch the CDL.
I feel like, I mean, in my mind, how I perceive, I think Afro, if anything, is going to be overrated rather than underrated.
Interesting.
Like with a really casual audience, he's probably insanely underrated. But with like the hardcore guys who are watching the London matches each week, he's probably adequately rated. Like he's the breakout candidate, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So spoiler alert, he was my number 1.
Of underrated players.
That's kind of on brand. I mean, that's what you'd expect.
I am so my perspective is I am very high on Afro, and that like I know people are either maybe are looking at it more through like a realistic lens.
Like compared to your opinion of Afro, he's underrated.
Yes, like heavily, because I am very much putting a lot of my eggs in Afro's basket.
Yeah.
That's to sound weird.
Nesting in Afro's Afro. Hell yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, but like, I will fully admit though, there is a possibility where like it doesn't pan out the way I think it's going to pan out. I think, I think he had an opportunity to shine on London last year, and like there obviously wasn't a lot of success for London, and maybe he could have been like a really good player, but like there was no top 4 placements. There was no, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, like the most recent example of a guy who was like a top 10 type guy who then did nothing was a European player. It was Dylan CoD. Like
Dylan.
He went from being literally a top 10 player in BO4, top 7 player in BO4. Some might even say top 5 player in BO4, to then being irrelevant in Modern Warfare, basically. Not irrelevant, but you know what I mean? Like not a top half player. And so, it's at least possible, but I think Afro's in a pretty good spot, obviously, but
With that being said, I know he's not going to be on our list number 1, but I would like to see him in at least the top 5.
Is he underrated though?
I think he is. Like I do think when it comes to...
Where do you think the public sees him?
I don't think the public
that's what I'm
is
saying
high.
is that the hardcore fans think he's great, but I think a lot of casual fans don't really know what to think of Afro.
Yeah,
they're not out here. They weren't out here watching him dominate against LAG or him dominating against Paris.
Yeah. I think he's correctly rated with like the hardcore, like even like the European fans. Like
the European fans for sure.
Absolutely, but like when it comes to people that like probably like mainly watch Cold War and even Modern Warfare, they're just gonna see like they didn't even like care about London, and like even when like Afro played well on London, it didn't matter because they didn't place well. So
let's be honest, there's probably a lot of OpTic fans out there who maybe have watched Afro like once.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
There's just a lot of more casual fans who watch their favorite team but don't
Poor
watch all the
OpTic.
teams.
Yeah,
But it's just how it is. This is how it
it
is.
is. Yeah,
OpTic
I think it's just more natural that he is underrated because no one was watching London last year. I just
Yeah, I mean, and
It's
there's
just
no.
the way it
I mean,
is.
let's be honest. It's like that's fair. Like you don't have time to watch all the matches. Like it's just
No.
how it is. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to watch London play against Paris when it doesn't matter at all. It has no effect on the future.
Mhm.
I'm down to go Afro at 5, but I think enough of the community sees him in a pretty good spot where like I think there's other guys that are more underrated.
yeah. Let's
I agree.
put him at 5 and possibly do some readjusting. Maybe I can convince you guys one more spot higher, but we'll see.
Okay.
All right.
Who's the
So-
next guy on your list?
So obviously we got to toss out Illy, man.
Really?
Really?
Yes, I mean,
I
because
feel like
again,
you're throwing out, like,
I'm
all
very
these, like,
confused on what
really good
public
people.
perception of these players are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know I said last year Illy was like gonna be an MVP candidate. I still believe he could be an MVP candidate, even in Vanguard.
It's just
And I
hard
think
for
he
any
had
OpTic
a
fan
bad
to be,
season
or any
last
OpTic
year.
player to be on the underrated side.
It is.
Depends whose opinion you're taking. If you think that opinion, like everyone on OpTic is the greatest,
Well, I mean, if
best
you're-
four
if you're
players
just-
in the game.
If let's say if you were able to poll every person who watches competitive COD on the top ranking every player from 1 to 48, you know, like it's kind of that idea. Like where would the public person rank these guys? Like it's really subjective, but that's
It
the
is.
fun of the conversation.
All right,
I
well, if
agree with you,
Illy
though,
is
that
considered a
Illy-
highly rated player, then okay, we don't have to put him on the underrated because then I think he's placed right. But if he's not
Going into
considered in
roster
that,
mania before he joined OpTic, I don't think he would have been underrated. I think at that point, but now that we've seen him scrimming with OpTic every day for the past 3 weeks, and OpTic hasn't like lost a scrim in like 2 weeks, like I imagine the public perception would think Illy's pretty dang good at this point. That'd be my thought, which is why I
Yeah.
think he should be on the list.
That'd be my argument too. Is like I think I was, and maybe still am, like am not as high on Illy as other people, but like when you're attached to that OpTic name and you're basically
With that many
seeing
people watching
a
every
ton of
day.
OpTic, it's like you're probably going to think of him at least like in the top, I don't know, 12 for like a casual, viewing.
Yeah.
I don't know, top 15, top 12. So
I'm with you there. So let's put a pause on Illy for a second, and
Yeah.
I'll throw out my next one. This is an interesting one, and I'm not sure if you guys this might come off surprising, but I'm going with Decimate at number 5,
all right, we're gonna have to explain yourself on this one.
and it was because of his S&D performance last year when he did play. He was an elite S&D player in the time that he played, and that might be going a little bit underappreciated heading into this year, where he's like, I think if most people were ranking Paris, they'd have him as a bottom 5 player in the CDL. Like if you were
Yeah.
ranking every single player, Decimate would be like bottom 5 probably.
That's actually a good point. I think Paris is going to be better than this year than they have been in the past years, and I think I almost can say all those players on there are probably going to be underrated.
So it's a little bit hard to say like how, you're scaling how underrated is a guy who might go from like, 48th ranked COD Pro to like 35th or 30th or something like that, like wherever Decimate would end up on my list. But like, I think overall he's like bodied. Like Decimate sucks. He's terrible. But last year he was one of the best SMG players in Challengers. He came in for New York and literally took over S&D maps in his time when he was replacing Clay. So it's like, it was impressive. And I think he might be a little bit underappreciated heading into this year.
mhm. Yeah, I think my problem is like you said, when you compare him to like, it's hard.
Like an attach or an afro.
Yeah, like that, and then it is hard to gauge his performance. I think he's correctly positioned in the public eye, but I could be very much underrating him simply because of when he came into both excuse me, Subliners and Surge. It like wasn't it didn't end up the best on both scenarios.
Yeah,
so
well, I would say that what I would say when he came in for New York, it ended up about as good as it could end up.
probably, yeah.
I think
I
they
mean,
beat Mutineers
they
or
won.
something.
Yeah, the Mutineers, right? They won. Kind of off the top of my head, I not remember.
I think they won
exactly,
2 series and lost the third, or they won. I think they won 2 series and lost the last one or something like that.
So, I mean, that would be my argument to have Decimate on this list. I think he might be actually significantly underrated.
Well, if Decimate's on, I'm fine with putting Decimate there, but I think we also should talk about Fellow.
Interesting.
I think Fellow could be a underrated player as well. We saw him step in for Dallas, and we know it wasn't, pulling exactly what, we would think Dallas would pull, but he was also stepping into like a tumultuous team environment at the time. And he performed well, and you could see just eye testing at how good he looked.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a fair one. He was definitely on my honorable mentions list.
Mhm.
So my proposal would be to have Decimate. We can bump. I'm down to, since I was the only one that had him, I'm down to bump Decimate to 7, and then bump everybody up 1.
Okay,
That'd be my proposal.
I'd be down for that. I'm not sure about Fellow though, personally.
Thoughts, Rex? Want to fire back?
Well, I think you're undervaluing Fellow. I think Fellow brings a lot more to the team than you're giving him credit for. I think Fellow is somebody who flies under the radar and people just don't really take notice of. But I think they should be taking more notice of him. And he performs well in Challengers. In Modern Warfare, he was on the winning Challengers team.
Decimate, Zero, and Fellow kind of all fall into almost the more underestimated category than underrated. Because it's like we just haven't seen. There's nothing to rate, like you said.
Yeah.
Like we've seen them play for one stage. We saw Decimate play a handful of matches. We saw Zero play.
If Fellow has played more than Decimate did.
No, yeah, Fellow played more in Decimate and Zero, so I feel that for sure. So I think it's more of like the underestimated category than underrated in theory. But
And it could be too, like with like Fellow being an AR.
I'm saying that for all 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So none of them are making the list then.
Well, I'm just saying like that was like a side point.
Yeah, which like again, like I said, I think it's maybe in my mind too, with like Fellow being an AR, it's harder to be like I see, like he just kind of felt like another AR, if that kind of makes sense.
Right.
I mean, he
No,
felt like
for
a
sure.
Challengers AR, I guess, but I think there was still something that was still distinctly Fellow.
Yeah, like
It didn't seem like there's just like a generality to his playstyle.
Like,
I think there was a uniqueness to it that was
looking at
that
his
it can
playstyle-
be beneficial.
on Empire, he for sure was a very fast AR. He was kind of but by far was like the most like cracked AR, honestly, on the map. But at the same time, it just kind of felt like nothing. It's hard.
He was stepping in for Hook, is just changing the whole team dynamic entirely.
Right.
No, definitely.
But I think there's other players that deserve to be more like when it comes like underrated. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, would you Sam, would you rather have Decimate or Fellow?
I
At
probably
7.
like at this point I probably have Decimate because I think Decimate came
Makes
in.
no sense.
I think it makes sense though. Like when he came into both Subliners and Surge, like Josh was saying, he did have a pretty insane S&D
And Decimate was
performance.
literally one of the best SMGs all year long.
I mean, I remember Decimate
In Challengers.
shitting the bed on Seattle Surge. That's what I remember.
Well, yeah, but that was obviously just a tough situation. And then, but I don't know. But I'm surprised you're not more high on Decimate because he came in for New
It's
York.
not that
and
I'm not high
literally-
on Decimate. I'm just kind of upset that we're just disregarding Fellow like everybody does.
I don't think we're disregarding. I think it's just a matter of we only have 7 spots. I don't think Fellow should be in one of the 7.
I agree.
I don't think that's the most craziest thing in the world. Like,
Okay, well, I mean, I can't even tell you like the exact statistics, but I don't remember Fellow where he was just garbage on the map. Whereas with Decimate on Seattle Surge had some garbage maps, specifically a hard point on that jungle map that I don't remember the name of.
The Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Apocalypse. I mean, sure, maybe.
And Fellow played more than him.
All I'm saying is that
Fellow
Decimate
at
was
least had a
literally an
level of
elite S&D player when he
consistency.
played, though.
I'm not
Like-
not discrediting Decimate. I think Decimate could also be an underrated player, but I think it's
Decimate in
unfair
7
to
maps
say
that
he's
so-
underrated, but Fellow is not.
In Decimate's 7 maps that he played last season, he had the highest KD and S&D at 1.39. He had the highest kills per 9 rounds at 7.69.
You keep
He
just
had-
looking at S&Ds. Like, there's more than just that game.
I know,
mode.
but I'm just saying he had the second highest first blood win percentage. Good news, only behind Fellow. They both played the same amount of they played the same amount of S&D matches.
So he's still
on the
behind
season.
Fellow.
But Decimate got more first bloods. So you could argue that.
So,
And-
but that also means Decimate lost more first bloods.
Okay, yeah, but Decimate had he had the highest KD in the league and kills
How many
per 9
maps
rounds
did he
in a
play?
7. They played the same amount. They both
Okay.
played 7. So all I'm saying is that like there's a ton of potential with Decimate. I just think Decimate and in his career, Decimate's been a good S&D player back, even dating back to like his times in like the amateur scene and CWL. I just think Fellow's a very solid player. Don't get me wrong. Like that's why he was in my honorable mentions. But I just think
Right,
Decimate's
right.
slightly more underrated.
But let's just say no to Rex's ideas. Cheers.
What?
That's what we're all about here at the best of
I mean,
3.
that is what we're all about here. Cheers. Drinking. No, but to your point, Decimate was not good in respawn. So, I could see the counter arguments. All right, let's do Decimate at 7, then Attach at 6, 0 at 5, Afro at 4. All right.
Yeah.
So we got 3 spots left here, roughly, depending on if we want to argue anybody else. I still have. So I got 3 guys left. My next nominee would be Paul X
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
as underrated. Sam, what's your next nominee? Let's just go through them quick here.
Yeah, my next would be Priesta.
Rex,
I have
who's
a
your next
scene.
nominee? Very on brand for you two. Very on brand. Want to throw out all of the rest of our guys and then kind of go from there. So
Yeah.
I have Paul X, Neptune, and Mac.
I have
as my-
Neptune too. I have Neptune.
I actually have Neptune as well.
Neptune should
Really?
be on there 100%
Yes.
then.
Interesting.
I had Neptune at number 2.
I had Neptune at number 3.
I have number 2.
But that's the only one that we actually agree on. So he might de facto be number 1 then.
It could
Because
be.
he'd be the highest rated on all of our
Where does
ends.
everybody have Draza? That's the real question.
Obviously, I did not have Draza on the list.
Looking through like comments and stuff, I think people actually like love Draza. Which
They do.
Like
I mean, they think
he-
he's funny. I've seen that.
no,
I mean, I hope people
what?
think he's good because I think he's
They
good.
think he's
too.
good.
I truly think the public opinion is actually higher on Draza than Josh. Like I
okay.
think Josh is even
Oh,
less.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that's
all right.
that's the only
Cool.
reason why I don't have Draza on the list.
Then let's say then scratch my Draza thing.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys feel about Paul X? I guess it's the only because me and Rex both have Mac,
Hmm.
and then we all 3 have Neptune. Sam, who's your other one?
I have actually have Hook on there. Hook.
I had Hook in my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Rex, who's your final one that wasn't mentioned yet?
Again, this is like I have Clayster on there, but
Classic.
I love
well, because here's the thing: it's like he was super good in Cold War.
Mhm.
So but it just seems like every year there's just like a reset on people's perception of how good he's gonna be.
Interesting.
But that might just be me. I don't know how people feel how good he is right now, but I think he's still an underrated. He could be considered an underrated player.
My argument would be to go Paul X, then Mac, then Neptune.
Paul X,
How
I
do people
like.
feel about
Honestly,
that?
I'm a fan of the Paul X underrated pick.
Sam, what's your counter arguments? Any other thoughts there? What do you
I-
want to throw in there?
I'd be okay with that. I do think when it comes to Hook, I know you said like you have him in your honorable mentions. I
Mhm.
think given his situation last
People
year,
dumped on him after Dallas.
people
Yeah.
dumped on him.
But was that
Right.
like
Well, hold
you're a
on.
bad teammate thing, or was it because he's bad at COD?
That's
you know,
It was
the
a
thing.
bad teammate thing. People, because everyone was like, "Who's getting Hook? Like he's the legend." I can't believe Dallas dropped Hook. 100 Thieves. They can't
People
believe
are
they
pretty
dropped
high on
Hook.
LAG as a
What
team.
idiots.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the counter argument to my counter argument is that I think when LAG got announced, I think people actually were very excited about
Like
the
top
composition.
4 team, you know?
Yeah. So I think that would probably be the reason why he wouldn't be in the top 3. However, I do think there's still this lingering perception of Hook being not only like a bad teammate, but also like a bad player. I think people think he
Look
can
at
go
the mini
rogue.
map.
Yeah, like he goes rogue way too often, which could be a case.
I mean,
However,
it's his play style.
There
Yeah,
definitely
but it could
is
work.
Hook has to prove himself, I think, to the audience
Mhm.
again.
Which yeah, for sure. I think he had a rough go, and that's it. Rightfully so. Again, I think he made some bad decisions. But I think we're going to see that like people are going to have Hook back in their like top SMGs in the league. So like going from where he was in Cold War to possibly a top SMG in this game, I think that's a huge underration of Hook.
Those underrations, they're killer.
Underration. But I do think if we didn't put him in the top 3, I'd understand because when it comes to Neptune, Paulex, then Mac, I can argue with a little bit, but I'm okay either way. Truly, honestly, that'd be my only reason for having Hook in like 3rd. But
That's interesting.
I don't feel comfortable putting Hook on there on underrated. I don't think people think he's underrated.
Yeah, I'd rather leave him off, I think, personally,
Okay.
too.
I also want to talk
I'm
about
okay with
Afro
that.
again. I don't know if I'm comfortable putting Afro on this list either.
really,
I feel like people think he's good. Honestly,
I don't think.
I don't think he gets talked about a lot because it's still a bit mysterious. But I don't think anyone's like
But even like not
Afro's
being,
overrated.
but even not being talked about though, like I think that shows that he's underrated. Like he should be talked about with like people like Hydra, like
He has the chance to be Hydra
yeah.
Yeah,
this season. But
Which
like
is
we
like,
haven't
people
seen
know
it yet.
that. People know that. I think people know he could be in that realm of Hydra and Shotzi.
I don't know.
I mean,
I
But
fully
maybe
agree
that's
with
just
that.
me because I think
again,
he
I
could
wouldn't
be.
mind moving Afro down the list, but that means Zero or Attach or Decimate would be ahead of him if we moved him down. So on more underrated.
I don't know if he.
Let's take Afro the list. Let's throw Fellow in.
If you think Fellow is
Who'd have
more
thought?
underrated than Afro, that's
I mean, yeah, it's just always tough. Okay, let's try to decide on these final few here.
Also,
Yeah.
Temp. I mean, honestly, yeah. Paris squad, Temp Fellow, and them. I feel like could be underrated.
that's the thing. I mean, John could be underrated considering everyone thinks he's the worst player of all time now.
that is true.
That's
Yep.
true. I even like kind of like purposely like excluded him because I also don't think he's that great. But you're right. I mean, John, maybe he could be up. Maybe he could be on this maybe he should be on this underrated list.
I didn't
That's probably too hard on him.
Right.
Yeah.
The only other options I'd throw out there would be Gunless or Pristini, but Pristini's not a starter, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
There's a case to be made for Gunless too, I think.
but I
But
think at
here's
this
the
point
thing.
people are
Here's the
still
thing.
high
What
on
do
him.
people think? Yeah, are people still high on him? Like I know my feelings about him, and I know you're higher on Gunless than maybe I am.
Yeah, probably. I think people are underestimating Max. This is kind of a jump in the ship to Mac. Just underestimating Mac as an SMG.
Yeah.
Watching some scrims, he's been absolutely insane. Like really, really good. I think it's been a blast to watch Mac so far in that Seattle squad. And but it's only from like Methods POV or from like Shotzi or Scump's POV. So you're seeing it from like opposite POVs, but he's been really good. And I've been impressed with him so far. And just to mention, like he was really, really good in Modern Warfare as an SMG player. And we're right back to it again here. So like with Modern Warfare 2.0 in this game. So I think Mac could be a legit. I'm rising on Mac as a player. And that's why I had him at 1 on my end. But I wouldn't be opposed to having Neptune there as well. And that's why, and kind of like Paul X as well, just think overall, maybe not talked about enough about how consistently solid he was for London last year. And then heading into this year on this game, I think it could be really interesting.
Well, then maybe we should do Paul X3. And then
Mac
we all
2, Neptune 1.
You two had Mac, and then we all three had Neptune.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do
All right.
Paul X at 3,
Paul X, Mac
2, and then Neptune 1.
Neptune. Rex, why is Neptune underrated?
So
His
I
performance
have
last series. Sorry.
his performance last season. There were obviously moments of
Right at the end of the year.
that were questionable choices maybe were made on the map.
Man, was he dominant at times. Wow.
But he did have some dominating moments. You can tell that he has the crackhead kid movement.
Take over maps. Yeah.
He
Ability.
has that potential. And
Not
I
many
think
have it.
even now with the guidance of Clay and Krim on the team and with a second SMG in Hydra, it's only going to strengthen him even more and make him that much better of a player than he was.
Right. I'm with you. I mean, I still think that
His
New
issue
York,
is never mechanics. His issue is just choices.
right. Yeah. New York's locked and loaded there. I think, like you said, putting him in a situation now, people are high on him, but I don't know if people realize how good he could actually be with his current situation. I think he could be like scary good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You agree, Sam?
I do. Honestly, like I know I'd probably like have a few other guys here, but truly, when it comes down to it, I think Paul X, Mac, and the Neptune for sure. I mean, considering like how hyped he was going into last year, his performances wasn't the best, but then now I think he's seen as the worst player on New York, potentially this year, like just because like that's just how he's seen, right? It's
The most question mark player,
I think it makes sense for him to be the number one on our list of underrated players, where he could literally just go crazy this year and have a phenomenal year. When you have a duo with Hydra, it could be insane.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I think it only makes sense.
I think it was overall a really good conversation. Like, so I guess for audio listeners, or I guess for everyone out there, because we're not actually showing it right now. Decimates at 7, Attaches at 6, Zeros at 5, Afros at 4, Paul X at 3, Mac 2, and Neptune 1. Not too bad.
And Fellow is also at number 7.
Yes, honorable mentions there. Fellow. I think Pristini is actually underrated. Just like, I really wanted to mention him just because like,
No, I think he's underrated
underrated
too, but he's a substitute now. So.
But the problem is
he's
he
always
needs the right situation around him. And I think people underestimate how unbelievably great he could be if in the right situation. And we saw it in past CODs. Like, but he needs the right situation, and Seattle was not the right situation.
No, absolutely not.
So it's kind of like Vivid, where like in the right situations, they can be unbelievable, but they need the right guys around them.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But there it is, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into a quick little intelligent or relevant here. So without further ado, let's see what they got to say. Let's go.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
I am always in the chase of a good clashing poll of not just one lopsided, right? So I'm very curious on this one to see what the community thinks. So the question was posed as such: what is your opinion on yearly releases of COD? Keep them coming or dial it back? Are yearly releases what keep Call of Duty fresh? So I think even between us, I think we have some maybe different views. I don't know, but I actually have 3 choices for this one. So 1, keep yearly releases. 2, every other year, and then 3 would be even longer, 3+ years. So what do you guys think the COD community
I think the
thinks
people
right
will
now?
say stick to year.
Okay.
Think. What's your guess, Rex? What do you think people are going to say?
I have a feeling. I guess I kind of feel like they're gonna say even longer, but I have a feeling there's gonna also be comments of like you should do even longer when it's a good game. You know, if it's a,
Yeah.
you know, we wouldn't want to be stuck with a bad game, so keep the yearly releases coming.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine it's either going to be yearly or every other year. I think people will be okay with every other year. But me personally, I would love to see like a 3-year, 4-year cycle. You know, personally,
But the game has got to be good. Like
for sure. But
they
but
can't give us Vanguard and be like, okay, we're doing Vanguard for 3 years. Like it's got to, you know.
But
No, yeah,
but
for sure.
But imagine Vanguard is like a template, and like they improve upon it every
Like a Warzone map, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
Like I think I think that it scares people, but I think it could be better than they think. So with that being said, I will vote for even longer because I'm guessing that's gonna be the least popular.
Yeah. And what do we got?
Okay, so here we go. 64.3%
I should have guessed.
say every other year.
Should have
What?
guessed.
Yeah.
It's a middling answer. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have
Makes
20
sense.
we have 20% say keep your yearly releases and then 16% say even longer. The people are a fan of the every other year.
Dude, every other year would just it would I think it would make the problems even worse. It would be like it just like
so?
creates more laziness. You're like, oh well, now we have 2 years to get the game going. May as well make it even worse at launch.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think that would help anything.
I don't think it would help anything either, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think we'd still get a bare bones thing, but now we're stuck with it for 2 years instead of 1.
Like the first year would be so chalked. It'd be terrible. Like
Mhm.
the second year would be fine, but like you're
Yeah.
playing an absolutely dead game. Oh.
So
I-
a couple comments
yeah.
we got here. One from Zelix is voted for yearly releases. Keeps the skill gap high. Good teams will be able to adapt to a new game faster than the other teams would.
Mhm.
It also should bring in new fans every year. So good points. Good points.
Yep.
Jaden or at Jackpot 2-time need yearly releases. Only thing that's keeping me watching CDL this year is knowing it's only 1 year of Vanguard. So,
That's the thing. That's the thing. If you do these different cycles, the game's got to be different.
yeah.
They gotta be so good.
And we make the assumption that the game would be different.
Otherwise,
or
you turn
better.
into Battlefield.
What they really need is jetpacks so we can play uplink.
Heard that one once or twice.
Got one from Tommy Fedler III.
I love that name.
He's saying
Okay.
other release a comp only COD, but a studio
Yeah,
on it
classic.
who only focuses on that and add a map. So like a legacy Call of Duty is what he's going
Yeah. Pain.
for. Let's see. Let's kind of scrolling through here. We have Hordes saying I think every other year would be a good balance because it would give pros enough time to work out the kinks in terms of the rule set and GAs at the beginning of the year and not be panicking before the season starts.
Oh, there'd be so much dead air in a 2-year cycle.
It could
It'd just
be.
be pain.
Mhm. And then I'll read the last one here from the GOAT I Hold Shift. He's
Oh.
saying every other should dominate. Thing is, measures need to be in place to keep the game fresh. I'd hate to watch the same game with the
Right.
same maps plus guns 2 years in a row. Weapon balance changes to fit alongside competitive better. See League of Legends and new maps, CSGO, are necessary. So,
Yeah, it would have to be massive changes.
mhm.
But like it's just like if you're
hold
relying on them.
What is massive? Adding a map is not. I don't know if we can consider that a massive.
Massive changes in like big, a lot more meta changes, a lot more maps added, and like meta changes would be. I think I kind of miss the days of when we had different like metas throughout the year. Like this was this gun meta, then this was the World War II. Like you had the FG meta, then you had the different
Mhm.
bar. Like I like that kind of. I miss that. We haven't had that in 3 years.
Well, it's hard to get
so I don't know.
variety when there's always GAs.
When there's a a massive amount of attachments just to balance guns out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
true.
but yeah. Well, folks, there it is. That's the podcast. Things you absolutely love to see. It's gonna be crazy. So drop your comments down below. Oh, best of 3 GBs. gaming
yes.
channel and main channel. You can check out the 2 uploads were uploaded literally yesterday. So if you didn't check them out yet, guess good news. This podcast is over, but you can go watch over an hour of us talking about COD and playing COD.
Let's go.
Best of both worlds. And what we do in between matches is we like talk about strats, and we could talk about game theory and pros and cons, things we did better and things we did bad, and it's great. So one uploaded on the main channel on SalvationsElite, and then one uploaded on the gaming channel, SalvationsElite Gaming. So go check that out. Also, if you're into crypto, Salve Crypto, you can check out the link. I just tweeted the link on Twitter, and also tweeted the link. And also, you can check me out on Salve Crypto, SALV Crypto on Twitter, my crypto account. Things you love to see.
Get those money gains, baby.
Hell yeah. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you guys really enjoyed it. Obviously, the podcast. And drop those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. We always appreciate that. And we'll be reading them in the future as well. And without further ado, guys, I'm Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3. Sam to our front is Rex. ShadyNero, guys. This has been the Best of 3 podcast. We'll see you next time. We out.